Bernardo. How's it going? I hope you actually have a great day. And my name is Harvey Newman. If you're not familiar with me, I actually do YouTube videos every single week for most animators out there, for a big animation community. And I try to help out as much as I possibly can the animation community with my tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the years. I've learned most of them in the games industry. And yeah, super happy, super psyched to actually kind of like review your shot that actually, rightfully so, won the award for this month on the Animation Challenge. I understand why. I was reading the comments. If you want to check out more about like the videos and what I do, 100% check me out on YouTube. Just search Harvey Newman or harveynewman.com. But without further ado, I think we should look at your shot to actually see what's good and what needs to be improved on from my perspective. And hopefully it's going to help you a little bit more about how to see things in a slightly different way, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to this scene where you can see this your shot right here, and I'm going to play it a couple of times, and then we can go into the details on the things that need to be improved on, the things that you can actually make better, right? So let's do it. All right. Oh, I forgot to put the song on. Nothing could be more epic. So cool. It's crazy. Well, I really like it. I think it's really fun. I think it's very creative. So I'm going to start with the positives of the shot, which is, those definitely like, very creative. I think you actually have a good sense of entertainment. And I can tell that you're in the beginning of your journey as an animator, but having a sense of entertainment, a sense of like how to entertain others with your animations, it's arguably one of the most important things that you can have, especially as you start your career, because after all, this is what we do as animators, is try to entertain an audience. Doesn't matter if it's games or film, but you have to entertain an audience, and coming up with cool ideas and how to set them up and how to actually showcase them the best way possible is definitely a trait that is very strong, and you have it. So major kudos to you, sir. And then the things that I think that you have the best in the shot is how you set up your cameras, the fact that you allow enough time for each camera to actually see a part of the shot, right? So I'm just going to mute it here because I was reviewing just before, but the fact that you have enough time here to see a little arms grabbing the spider web looks really ridiculous and really cool. The fact that you can see him here in the distance kind of like flipping around, which is awesome. And then, the hero shot, which is this bit here, which is nice, is enough time for you to read and see the dinosaur in the shot. And then lastly, but not least, this one here, when he runs around and just, roars like, in an epic way. He must be the dinosaur. He must be the T-Rex with the smallest arms I've ever seen, which adds to the comedy of it all, which is really cool. Anyways, I'm pretty sure you're here to see what can be improved on, what can you actually do better, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to go ahead and like delve deep into it. Now, I'm going to go from the biggest things to the smallest things as we go through the shot. So the biggest thing that I can see that is slightly odd on your shot, and I was actually so caught up with the music and the shot that I didn't even notice it in the beginning, which is like the camera flips 180 from one side to the other halfway through. And that's basically a no-no in film, in cinema, mainly because it's disorienting for the audience. And the reason why is mainly because right here you have the dinosaur flying from right to left, right? My right to my left. And then here you have the dinosaur swinging and like back spinning or back turning on the same way from my right to left. But then when you actually go to this shot, he's coming from the left to right, right? So if you imagine a straight line down this shot, he will probably be on one side of the shot as he's kind of like traveling from right to left. And then you cross that line and then you go into the opposite way, which then becomes almost like there are two different dinosaurs or two different scenes, which is disorienting for the audience. So what I suggest is that maybe these two first shots here, you flip them around, right? Like you basically put the camera on the other side, or you flip them around in edit, and basically have the dinosaur going from right to left, from left to right, right? So from this side here to to my right. And then same thing here, like when he kind of swings and then does all the flipping around, same thing. Go from left to right so you can see that dinosaur kind of going around, which then if he goes from left to right, here on this shot, which is also coming from left to right, it feels connected all of a sudden, right? It feels like it's coming the same way all throughout. And this is just basically the same thing. Here, the big shot is also left to right. So all would work really well. So that's the biggest thing that I saw that needs rectifying. Now for the smaller stuff, the other big thing that I see, or smaller, slightly smaller, is this shot right here. I think it lacks a little bit of clarity in the way you have it, mainly because you don't see the fingers very much, but also dinosaurs are basically a straight line, like from head to toe, and then they have, like if you see here, like it's basically like a line right there that has a big legs and just tiny arms. So because of this shot here, it's kind of complicated or difficult for me to understand exactly what I'm seeing except for the arms. I don't know if I'm seeing a tail of an animal or if I'm seeing the head of an animal. And it might have to do with you maybe zooming out a bit more. Don't show the head, obviously, because you want to keep that sense of like, what is that? But maybe you can actually zoom out ever so slightly a bit more so you can see more of his chest or more of his back. So you know that it's some type of animal or it's some type of thing with tiny arms. And then you see the whole animal, right? So I think that will help you a lot, because when I first saw this, I didn't really know exactly what I was looking at, and it was slightly odd. Same thing here when he does the flip. I like the angle because you can't really tell what it is just yet, which is nice. However, I think it might be slightly too far and the camera is slightly too static. So you suffer from the same thing on both. So this one is nice, so you can see the camera kind of going with it. You might need a little bit of shake to kind of like simulate the wind, of the wind as you go through. But, for the most part, it's fine. But on this one being completely static, I think having something ever so slightly, especially when he's actually moving and turning, having something that actually gives you a sense that is like handheld might help you out. Because what is happening here between these two shots is that you go from a moving camera with lots of movement, and you can see the background just passing by, to then completely still, right? And because it's such a drastic change, it kind of like looks slightly odd, because then this camera is moving again, right? So having a little bit of movement, like language between the cameras, that every camera has a tiny bit of movement. You just have more movement and less movement, but there's always a little bit of movement, will help you to make sure that they connect better, right? Now on this shot here, when he comes down, I think the camera starts with no movement here and then has movement. So try to keep the camera ever so slightly bobbing as well, so there's no like sense of like stop and then continue, because the more you actually stop that camera and then continue again, that is basically calling attention to the camera itself. So it has the cameras normally have a tendency to either have movement that is constant but is kind of slightly all over the place, or have steady shots, right? But either way, the whole idea is for you to not to see the camera. So it's basically the same thing all over the place. You're just witnessing something through a lens. And when you start and stop the camera so quickly, you start adding attention to the camera ever so slightly. Not too much. It's not super noticeable here, but it will definitely help you to, for example, when he goes to here, the camera continues down, so you can keep him in focus a bit more. And you can even continue down as he goes past the camera. The camera can continue going down as you go through, right? And then finally, I still have 5 minutes, which is great. Finally is this shot here when he actually kind of like zips through and then gets the final roar section. So I feel like you spend the most time in animation here, and I'll go talk about the animation specifics in just a second. But I think this shot here actually works the best. I like your run cycle. I like how much weight he has. Looks nice, looks like he means business, and I like the little stepping, the little forced step just before like roaring, which is really nice. Now, the thing that I think that is slightly distracting is that, and this is happening a little bit all over the animations, is that you kind of keep the same motion or the same pose a lot of the time. So think about this one, right? Right here, he kind of just stays in the same position, doesn't move at all, and you just see him like swinging through. And even though that would make sense, as Spider-Man, because you're like here all the time, you would actually. Oh, I think I lost my camera. Unfortunately, I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna be frozen there for a second. I hope you don't mind. You would actually kind of like be able. You can hear my voice, so you should be fine. You would be able to actually kind of like stay straight, but also have a little bit of movement in your body, right? So if you have a little bit of movement in your body, you'll be able to actually see a little bit more of what happens with the dinosaur here. So having a bit of a head movement, maybe having the head stretch out the neck, maybe a little bit as you go through, right? Maybe having the arms kind of like maybe flex out a little bit, so that will be nice. Or even having the hands like readjust ever so slightly as you're grabbing that web will help you out a ton, right? Something that actually allows to see that this thing is alive, is not just there for the ride, that will help you out. This might have been a result of obviously the time limit that you have on the animation challenge, but definitely work on those things going forward. For the somersault here, for the turn, I think that having the character or having the dinosaur close in into himself and then open up as he's going here will help you a ton as well. So having him going like here, I'm going to go here, I put my feet close to my body and I close in my head, and then basically I'm back to here when I'm open, right? This will help you a ton as well. And then here is the same thing, right? Like you have a little bit of movement going down, but I feel like you keep it here for too long. I know you're doing slow motion, but I think that you can do so much more with the overlap of the bottom feet, the tail, as the tail goes down, as the arms grab up, and the arms, especially the left, his right arm and my left side, the arm on the left, feels a little bit broken at the moment. I feel like T-Rexes normally keep their arms slightly closer to the body. And I think in here, you actually have the arm pretty much staying out all the time right here. You can see it right here. So keeping this arm a little closer to the body as he's actually doing that swing. I know you were going for shapes for silhouette, which is great. But I think once he gets to about here, keep that arm close to the body because that's where they feel comfortable. And then maybe have these legs here, maybe not be so open all the time. Once again, T-Rex is like have their legs a little bit more straight, a little bit more like this, right? This will be unnatural. So you actually going down open like this with a nice silhouette, but then closing the legs as he's going up will help you a lot as well. This tail is staying up for too long as well. I feel like with the force of the swing, especially as he grabs onto the wall, this whip action of the whole body will most likely be like super forceful and go the opposite way right here. And then as he's actually going up, you will actually go backwards, right? You go back to this line that you have right now. So that will be probably that will probably be better. And then right here in the end, same thing, right? You have like the same pose all the time. And for Spider-Man, it works well, 100%. But because it's a dinosaur, you need to be a little bit more creative with it. And once again, you have the legs open here again. But I think what might work better is for you to have those legs flexed and having maybe one leg less flexed than the other, one leg more pushing forward like this one, and this one flexed the other way so you can see the foot around here. It's a shame that I cannot draw here. And then basically have the legs counter themselves as they go up here, right? So almost like a walk in midair that you do a little kick, and then you have enough gear, enough power for you to actually go down, finish, settle, and then continue walking, right? Or continue running here, right? This run looks really nice. The stop looks really nice. I'm running out of time, unfortunately, but then the roar looks really nice as well. I think I'll put a little bit more of a overlap on the tail as the roar goes in, just to signify that sense of tension, right? So he would tense up that tail, make it straight with the body right here to make sure that you feel that tension of that roar as he's roaring, right? So instead of keeping it up. And I think that is most of the stuff, which is great because the alarm just went off for the 15 minutes. But yeah, I like it a lot. I like the flag, the United States flag as well, the American dinosaur with a building behind as well, Empire State Building. So overall, I think you did an amazing job. So congrats. And I hope this review is useful to you and some of the things that I've mentioned here as well. So keep in touch, and any comments, any suggestions, or any questions, definitely hit me up. Check out the YouTube channel to actually comment, or check out my email or under my description so you can actually hit me up with any questions that you have, further questions that you have about the shot. Okay, Bernardo, stay well, and I shall see you on the next one. Peace.